What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Standing Room Only podcast with Goose and Healy, episode number 43. We got our football predictions this week. We're talking about the NBA playoffs, talking about baseball coming down to the final couple of weeks. So hope you guys are ready to lock in for this episode. If you guys want to follow our social media pages, you can follow the podcast page at SR Only Pod, Instagram and Twitter. You can follow Goose at iGoose with 4 O's. You can follow me at the Healy6. And make sure you guys download the episode if you do not already. It's the only way we can see the statistics. So to gauge on how many people listen per week. So if you guys are listening to this, hit that download button. It's only a couple megabytes to your phone. You can delete it at a later date. But once you hit that download button, it sends us the info. So we appreciate it. Are you ready to talk about this week? Got a lot to talk about.
Yeah, there's a whole lot of everything right now. We have the NFL starting up, tomorrow. For listeners, it'll be today because we'll launch this episode around midnight, Thursday morning, Wednesday night, depending on how you're looking at it. So yeah, we have the NFL. Baseball is in full swing, almost towards the end of the season. The NBA, there's drama. There's a game 7 in the Eastern Conference final. In the Eastern Conference with the Raptors, with the Celtics. The Western Conference, we don't know what's going to happen yet. There's been some fun competition, but it looks like the 2 LA teams are going away there. And of course, with the NFL rolling in tomorrow, we'll have our predictions, as Healy said. But yeah, let's get started. Let's get started with baseball. Healy, is there any news? I know we didn't see any signings, but we saw some teams are starting to take control of their division, if you will.
Yeah, so the Dodgers, they're dominating as always. The fun division to talk about right now, probably the AL East.
AL East, yeah.
You got the Tampa Bay Rays, which are absolutely killing it. They're 28-15. They're 4 games up on the second place team. And do you know who the second place team in the AL East is right now?
I actually just not too long ago looked at it. The Blue Jays, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, the Tampa Bay Blue Jays are 4 games behind the Rays. The Yankees are 2 games behind them, and the Orioles are a game back of the Yankees.
I would not have I know we both know Toronto has talent, young talent. I had no idea that they would be contending the way they are this year.
I didn't either. No, like baseball's weird. It's a very weird sport. And like you got the Giants who are 22-21 right now. The Rockies, you remember they started off like 12-6. Now they're 20-22, low 500. The Diamondbacks aren't looking too good. Pittsburgh's looking not so great. Or Cincinnati, not so great. Cubs are holding the lead there. Atlanta's holding the lead barely in the East, NL East. The Oakland A's are doing good. Another fun division to talk about. And they're all fighting for number 1, the AL Central. We have the White Sox, Indians, and Twins all fighting for that number 1 seed in the AL Central.
I am flabbergasted. I don't even know if flabbergasted is the word I'm looking for. I did not expect the AL Central to be as competitive as it is. I know I said the Sox were going to take the division. I did have my fan hat on. I knew Minnesota was good. They were good last year. They started off hot. Sox didn't start off too hot. Cleveland's pitching has been lights out. Lights out. They even trade Clevenger, and they're still winning baseball games. And I hands down, that's the most, I would say, interesting, besides the AL East, that's the most interesting division going on right now. It's a battle, especially with the extra playoff spot for the MLB this year.
Yeah, luckily Minnesota has that extra playoff spot by 4 games. It looks like everyone in the Central that is like up there with the White Sox, Indians, and Twins, they're going to make the playoffs regardless. It's just who's going to get the division spot and win out. Because the other 2 teams you do not want to be. And with this season, unlike other seasons, Every game matters,
Yep.
especially when you aren't going up against your division rivals, because the other teams that you play you're playing the same teams. So you're rooting for NL Central to beat your team or beat the other two teams every single day. And it's
It's
looking like the Cubs Sox end of the month, they're the final 3 games of the regular season. It's going to be a toss up, and both teams are going to need to win those games.
Yeah, yeah. You know what? The Cubs, for as bad as it seems they have been doing, as bad as their pitching has been, even Yu Darvish gave up, I think today, a 3-run bomb to Mike Moustakas.
Mm-hmm.
They were
He,
down. I haven't
yeah,
looked
he
at the
finished.
score.
It was 3-0. He just finished. He exited the game in the 7th. He pitched 6 innings, 2 hits, 3 runs, 3 walks, 9 strikeouts.
You know what? He gave up a mistake pitch and he had to pay for it. That's still a really good outing, though. That's a
Mm-hmm.
really good outing. But you know, one thing I was thinking of, Healy, kind of just dawned on me. We go into the playoffs. You're playing teams you haven't seen all year.
Yeah.
You haven't seen any of these teams because they're in different regions of the state of the country. So
Mm-hmm.
now you're gonna have potentially Sox versus Tampa in the first round. They didn't see each other. Like, sure, you can watch tapes, but with baseball, it's all about seeing how those guys
Mm-hmm.
pitch, seeing how they hold up in certain situations. Baseball's different. Yes, you watch game tape for shifts to see how you're going to shift the field, the infield, maybe the outfield, whatever it may be, and what kind of pitches. You always get a scouting report. But this is going to be interesting, especially as you mentioned, if the Cubs and Sox both make it.
Mm-hmm.
If for some reason the Yankees don't make the playoffs, because that was the one team that I think I predicted that was the scariest team besides maybe the Astros. I thought the
Yeah.
Astros would be better. The Sox have a legitimate chance here, being the offensive talent that they have. They don't have the best pitchers in the league. They have good pitching, I would say, out of Giolito, Dylan Cease here and there,
Mm-hmm.
but their offense is so explosive, and I always say this for any sport. How do you beat a good defense? A better offense. Always, always. So I'm excited right now. There's maybe 20-ish games left, which gives us a couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Today's the 9th, going into the 10th, and I think the last game is it the 30th of September, around
Sometime
there.
around there. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
It'll end
so
at so we have 3 weeks left of baseball.
3 weeks. It went by so fast in the blink of an eye, and the Sox, and yes, I'm wearing my fan hat right now, but the way they started in the first month of baseball, I would have been okay if they just showed off their bats and didn't contend. Considering they have Kopech sitting out, their starting pitching isn't, I wouldn't consider a World Series contending team.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that their bats are doing what they are, Moncada's kind of hanging in there, and then Tim Anderson's battling for the batting title again. And from the rookie Luis Roberts and Eloy Jimenez, I'm excited. I'm excited. We both should be excited. I don't remember the last time the Cubs and Sox both made the playoffs.
Yeah, very rare from both sides. It seems like there's stretches. There's stretches where both teams don't make the playoffs, but
Uh-huh.
you find it very rarely where both teams actually make the playoffs together. They seem to switch off here and there. And I'm excited that both teams are kicking it up. The Cubs, they are losing tonight, which it's okay. They're still holding the lead over the division. But KB still looking terrible. Baez looking a little bit better, but he's not there. They
Mhm.
picked up Jose Martinez, which was cool. They just optioned him to the alternate site today because they signed Billy
Already.
Hamilton. Well, they signed Billy Hamilton to use as like a defensive replacement and stuff.
He's got
So
speed.
yeah, he has speed. He'll play defense, but you can't rely on him to hit at all. I think they
Mm-mm.
brought in Martinez and they'll hold on to him, but with what they need right now is maybe they came up against a stretch where they aren't facing left-handed pitching. They got him for left-handed pitching. Who knows? Maybe the next few days they're only going to face righties. So they're like, all right, we'll send you down so we could have a more usable guy over the next couple days.
Yeah, Billy
John
Hamilton.
Lester still looking garbage.
Yeah.
I think he's done. I don't want to believe it, but he's at the end of his road. He is not. I thought this year with the shortened season, he'd pick it up for a couple months. He has not looked good.
Get
Maybe
him get
towards the
him in October.
playoffs. Yeah, get him in
Get him into the
October.
playoffs.
Maybe we'll see it. But right now, every game he seems to go out there and just allow a decent amount of runs every time.
Yeah, it's a different factor once you get a team into the playoffs, and especially John Lester, because in the past he's had some good years with the Cubs, but I mean, when they won the World Series, he was the guy. Hendricks stepped
Mm-hmm.
up, all those guys stepped up, and I mean, at this rate, they could make the playoffs, and I think at this point they're just trying to stay alive. I didn't even realize that they got Billy Hamilton, and as you mentioned, he's a left-handed bat, I believe,
A
so
switchy.
he's a switch hitter.
Switch
Okay,
hitter,
and he's
but it
got
doesn't matter what way he hits. He won't put the ball in play.
Nope, nope. He like you said, he's there for the field, and I wouldn't be surprised if they pinch run him a few times. With the whole extra innings rule, I assume that's gonna roll over into the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
I hope. And then yeah, I'm excited. Chicago has a lot to be excited about, and we have more to talk about for Chicago. You guys
Yeah.
keep listening.
Oh yeah. We're talking about Chicago a lot today in all the
Yep,
sports. Yeah, Chicago.
that's with baseball though. I think that's pretty much it. Now, obviously, as Healy said, there is about it's end of September is going to be the last set of games. So there's about 20 games left. There are teams that have makeup games. One of those teams is St. Louis, the Cardinals. They do have about roughly, I think, if my math is right, 6 to 7 makeup games, which could make or break where the Cubs finish in the division. St.
Yeah.
Louis gets hot, and they end up, above have a higher winning percentage.
Mm-hmm.
I
You
mean,
just
the NL West is hot too. So the Cubs can easily go on a little losing streak, and somebody in the two teams in the NL West take that, those wild card spots
yeah,
for even the East.
you just reminded me about that. I was looking at the standings. I'm like, Cardinals are 3 games behind. The Cubs have 8 games more played than them. They're only
Yep.
the Cubs are only up 1 loss on them, and they have 7 more wins, which is huge. They need to
Mhm.
go on a 7-1 streak at some point. That makes me feel a lot better. Not gonna lie.
It's gonna come down to their series. I don't know how many games left, if there's any, against St. Louis. They're gonna have to beat St. Louis. I mean, that's gonna be the key factor. You can win, you can go on a 3-game winning streak. Sure, St. Louis loses 3, you gain 3 games, but the big factor is if there's 3 games, there's
Mm-hmm.
4 or 5 games left with St. Louis, doubleheaders, whatever they are, you have to treat those like playoff games. I mean, at this point, every game you have to treat like a playoff game going forward if you weren't already. So,
Yeah, I think the last games are on the 27th to be exact, but they just
okay.
played a doubleheader. Tomorrow they have another doubleheader. Next Monday they have a doubleheader. Next Wednesday they have a doubleheader. Next Friday they have a doubleheader, and then the following Friday they have a doubleheader.
Wow.
They have an easier schedule though. They're playing the Tigers twice. They play the Reds, Brewers, Pirates, Royals, Brewers.
No more games against the
No,
Cubs.
Cubs are done. And I think the Cubs, this is their final home series of the
They
year.
have one more against the Sox.
That's
They
on the
have
road. Oh,
Oh, that's at Chicago. Yeah, that's actually you're
okay.
right.
So they
You're
actually play
right.
against the Indians at home, and then they play against the Twins at home.
So the AL Central's traveling to
Oh, they
the
have a
North.
tough schedule. They're playing the Reds the next couple days. They're playing the Brewers. They play the Indians, Twins, Pirates, White Sox. You're gonna be a big Cubs fan next week when the Indians and Twins face the Cubs.
That's gonna be a huge series. And it's 2 against Cleveland,
Mm-hmm.
3 against Minnesota.
Yeah, a couple rest days there too. That's big.
Wow. Wow. This is the final stretch. I mean, this is literally gonna lead us into October baseball, and that last series, Cubs Sox can literally make or break which one of the Chicago teams makes the playoffs.
Or the
Hopefully the Cubs stay
seeds.
hot. Yeah, or the seeds. The seed. I mean, that's gonna be a major difference too. Obviously, there's some changes with the playoffs. They're adding more playoff teams, which is cool. I'm glad they're doing that. It'll make it a more interesting playoff format. But I mean, those seeds still matter. They make a difference. So
I think that's pretty much it for the baseball talk this week, though.
yeah,
Just baseball's cruising along. Atlanta, huge game today. They're up like 22-8. The Brewers won 19-0 to watch that game live. Guys are getting hot. There's the home run leaders. I remember talking about it at the beginning of the year. I don't know if it was on the podcast. I think I've brought it up multiple times on the podcast. So did we talk about if someone would hit 20 home runs or more on the podcast?
we did. Like we said, we wouldn't. I would be surprised. 20 home
Mm-hmm.
runs in 60 games. I knew somebody would get close. There's gonna be a couple guys that get close. The league leader right now
Well,
is who's
three
even
people. It's Tatis, Cruz, and Trout, all with 15.
wow. Trout was I think he was my pick. If
Mm-hmm.
somebody was gonna hit 20. Um Fernando Tatis having an amazing year. We might get 4, I'd say 4 guys with 20 home
Yeah,
runs
yeah.
potentially. So
There's a lot of potential. A lot of these guys as well that don't have 15, people could get hot. They could hit like
yeah.
6 home runs in like a week span.
Or in a series like Jose Abreu did to the Cubs.
Yeah. Jose Abreu has 13 home runs and 6 of them were in 3 games.
Yep. He's been on fire with the bat. I think he just extended his hit streak to 22 games,
Mm-hmm.
which if I'm not mistaken is a new record or ties a record for the Sox. It's, an all-time record for him. Shout out to him. He's what, 31, 32 years old now. Been in the league only a few years. He didn't come into the league at a very young age. I think he started at
Yeah,
around
he's
like
33.
27. 33
Yeah.
years of age, and he's playing great. I mean, every year he's playing great baseball. So shout out to Abreu for being a top home run hitter right now, especially in a league that's filled with home runs.
Yeah, he tied or this is the longest since Carlos Lee set the record of 28 in 2004.
Wow, Carlos Lee. I haven't heard Sealy in a long time.
So, he's at 22. He needs 7 games to beat Carlos Lee. Keep an eye out on Jose Abreu. He was the one guy, if you don't remember in the offseason, he's like, I want to stay with the Sox. I will sign no matter what.
Yep. He loves Chicago. He loves the organization, which says a lot because when you get a veteran player like that, you gain some brownie points, not only for you, like the fan base, but like for the franchise. That says a lot about the franchise.
Mm-hmm.
And he knew we have the talent coming in, obviously, with Eloy and all the other guys. We could just name that whole roster. He knows that that roster is something special, and he believes that they can win. And it may happen during the COVID season, maybe not, but he's definitely one of my favorite all-time Sox players. I could tell you that.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Consistent.
Oh yeah. So, but that'll wrap it up for baseball. Let's jump over to the NFL. We'll save the NBA for last. We'll go with our normal 1, 2, 3 order here. The NFL, the week full of contract extensions, contract talks. The league starting tomorrow.
Yeah.
Some stadiums are allowed to have fans. Some stadiums are not allowed to have fans. We'll go over that as well. Let's start off the bat with the contract extensions. Jalen Ramsey probably got the biggest contract I've seen for a defensive back, one of the biggest at least. Extension with the Rams, 5 years, $105 million. Is he overpaid, Healy?
I think I'm going to say, yeah. I don't know. Football is very weird with their salary cap. It just seems like it's not large enough. I feel like salary caps just are never large enough. And with how other sports are getting paid and how much revenue they get, maybe they should bump it up and this would be like a normal cost. But this is kind of also like, you could say, yeah. I would probably say yes. The only thing is with football, this looks maybe bad now, but let's say a couple years down the line, he's terrible. They don't
It
guarantee a
happens.
lot of money, and they always have a lot of outs in these NFL contracts.
Yep.
So, all right, like Mahomes, he got a lot guaranteed. But in previous years, you would see guys get like Brett Favre, he signed like a $200 million contract, but only like 30 million was guaranteed, and he has to play for like the remainder. And they
Yep.
can cut him with no cap penalty after like year 3. So yeah, he is. Cornerbacks, kind of like running backs, where it's very rare where you see a guy play at a top tier level for a long time. Richard Sherman kind of like reverted that. You kind of thought he was going in that direction. He ended up not. But yeah, we'll just have
Yeah.
to wait and see. I'm pretty sure they could cut him at some point, and they'll get all that money back.
Yeah, he's still young. I look at it as though so they did guarantee like 71 million to him, which
Ooh.
is it's a lot. That's a lot. But, this Rams team, with McVay at coach, they have a lot of potential all over the field.
Mm-hmm.
They're paying for his potential.
Mm-hmm.
I hate to say it. He had no interceptions last year. Obviously, he got traded from, Jacksonville over to the Rams. No interceptions, but being a defensive back, you don't always have to you have
No.
so many stats to look at. Pass deflections. There's probably a stat where it's how many times are you thrown at per game?
Yep.
What are the percentage of catches?
I got
Jalen Ramsey, it can ball. He can ball.
I got some stats on that one.
Oh, you
So
do? Okay.
yeah. So Jalen Ramsey, because someone was comparing Trey White or Tre'Davious
Hmm.
White to Ramsey. Ramsey was targeted way less than Tre'Davious White. Trey had 21 drop passes or off target passes to his targets, while Jalen Ramsey had 11. Trey allowed 57% of his receptions for a first down. Jalen only allowed 44.
Wow. I mean, 7% is huge.
Yeah.
That difference, yeah. So, and Tre'Davious White, he's another one. He got an extension with the Bills. So we can continue that. He's a defensive back for the Bills, signed a huge extension. He got the 4-year, $70 million contract, 55 in which is guaranteed. He's not overpaid. That Bills defense is great, and he's leading that secondary. He's very young. I think he's like 24 years of age.
Mm-hmm.
That the Bills were in the playoffs. The Bills defense has been excelling for the last few years now. It's just a matter of when is Josh Allen gonna pick it up? When is that offense gonna pick it up and help that defense out and score more points? Because that defense is great. I like that Bills defense. Tre'Davious, is definitely. I would say he's paid just what he deserves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Tre'Davious White did take a little bit of a bargain to stay with them,
Hmm.
but he got an extension as well. DeAndre Hopkins, newly traded
D-Hop.
for Hopkins, got paid. A lot of guys or I'm not going to say a lot of guys, but Jalen Ramsey traded for, got paid. DeAndre Hopkins got traded for, got paid.
Yeah. Uh, the other one, DeAndre Hopkins got a huge contract. It's only a 2-year extension, but it's worth like 55 million, and he's getting almost 43 guaranteed. That's average of like 27 mil. I think he's the highest paid outside of a quarterback position
Mm-hmm.
on a per year basis. Um, I like that duo of Kyler Murray passing to DeAndre Hopkins. They still have Larry Legend, who I think is going to play one more year. They have Christian Kirk. They have some talent. They have Kenyon Drake at running back. I like this offense. Awesome, awesome, well-deserved contract for Hopkins. I
Mm-hmm.
was very surprised when the Texans traded him. I knew that they weren't going to give him the contract, and they were fair with him. They traded him to a team that will value him. They value their receiving corps, and they always have valued their receiving corps for a while. But to add on to what you were saying, so Hopkins did get traded to get the extension. Kareem Hunt got an extension. He didn't
Yeah.
get traded. He got cut, but he did get picked up by the Browns. They risked it. He got 2-year, 13 and a quarter, $13.25 million extension, which is kind of a big deal because Nick Chubb, who is arguably top 5 running back in the league, great running back, is in extension talks. So they're saying by next season, off season, he's supposed to get he might be the highest paid running back until obviously Saquon gets his contract. But it says a lot for them to sign Kareem Hunt to a 2-year, $13 million deal. Now, I wonder what that's going to do for Nick Chubb, who shouldn't be worried. If he doesn't get a contract, any team is going to throw a $50-60 million contract at him.
Yeah, got Kelly of the Colts who got a contract extension. Kind of not necessarily a contract extension, but a contract that got signed. Adrian Peterson, he's back in the North.
AP is back in the North all day in a committee of running backs. I think that he will emerge as he'll get enough handoffs in the game. Let's put it that way. He will start getting the handoffs.
Yeah, he's there with DeAndre Swift and Kerryon Johnson now.
Kerryon, yep.
I saw people like talking about Kerryon on Twitter, and he's like, I don't care. These are my guys. Because they thought maybe like he would get released then or something, but it was an interesting release anyways from the Redskins or the Washington football team.
Yeah, it's the Washington football team. It's original. But it was, I think at this point, I guess I am a little surprised that they did that considering Geis is gone and they don't really have a running back.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it was just a chance for AP to go to a contending team. AP's
Yeah.
never won a Super Bowl. There's like, hey, go on over here. I don't even think he signed a huge contract with the Lions. The Lions are a sleeper team. A lot of guys are picking them as a sleeper team to potentially be a wild card team. I don't know how that's going to turn out for the Lions. They're still in a very tough division with the Vikings, who could very well be another contending team. The Packers obviously are always a contender, and the Bears. The Bears, if Mitch Trubisky is a quarter better than what he was last year, they easily could be a playoff contender. So, but shout out to AP. He's back in the NFC North where he is he's made his home and he's dominated throughout the years. So
yeah, the Packers are the last team to have an Adrian Peterson. I don't think you get what I'm saying. The Bears back in like the 2000s had a guy named Adrian Peterson as well.
Oh, they did. Yes, I remember that. I definitely remember that.
So the Packers are the last team to have Adrian Peterson. The only team not to have one.
Lions, Bears. Yeah, Adrian Peterson was a backup to, was it Thomas Jones?
I think so. Yeah.
I remember him. He was a very, very hard fought back. Like he worked for his yards. Wow, I can't believe that name even came up. I completely forgot about him. But yeah, that'd be interesting. And the Packers have their own dilemma at running back. They have they were in talks with Aaron Jones at the beginning of the week, probably a little bit longer than a week, in extending his contract. This is his contract year. He produced a lot for the team last year. We don't know what's going to happen this year. They have a committee. They have Aaron Jones at starting running back, who's probably going to get his 18 to 20 handoffs. He's going to get his 5 to 6 catches. They have A.J. Dillon, who is a power back, who will probably take some goal line work. It's going to take away. And then they have Jamal Williams, who they thought was going to get cut, and now they're keeping him. I believe personally he will be their catching back. Believe that this is the future of the NFL. Started with the 49ers and some other teams, have fresh legs on the field at all time. Nonetheless, Aaron Jones should be getting his contract soon. And somebody else who's going to be getting a contract extension that was just on the trading block on our last episode, Alvin Kamara with the New Orleans Saints was the Saints said they would listen to offers. They said, we are not going to pay Kamara the money he wants. Kamara and his agent obviously worked something out because now they're in talks of extending the contract, and it's going to be in favor of Kamara, apparently. Very young, still in his prime for at least the next couple of years, I would assume. He produces a lot. He's part of the Saints, we don't know how many years they're going to have left of being a contending team. Drew Brees, we don't know how many years we're going to have see him. Obviously, they have Jameis Winston off the bench. He might step up into that role. We don't know. I don't think he's a winner, but we'll see. So Kamara is another one that we'll see. Hopefully, before these games on Sunday, we'll see his contract get extended as well.
So that if we missed a contract extension, we're sorry. There's been a bunch that have happened throughout the past week. Well, we hit on pretty much the big ones throughout the whole week. Don't think the Bears extended anyone. They don't really have a lot of money, but we're going to do our predictions today because tomorrow or whenever you're listening to this, Texans, Chiefs are going to be playing. We're going to give you guys our division winners, and we're going to be giving you guys our Super Bowl prediction of who's going to make it. So
yeah, let's get to it. Let's start off with Healy. Let's start with the NFC divisions, and I want you to go first.
Okay, so I will start off with the NFC East. It's gonna be a little fight with the Eagles and Cowboys. That one's a tough one. Like it's one that I've been thinking about a little bit. I think I'm gonna go with the Cowboys. I still think like they have the better team overall. Dak hasn't really had the injury issues as Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz, if he could have a healthy season, they have to play in the preseason this year. The Eagles could be a top team, but I'm going to go with the Cowboys winning the NFC East. I definitely think the Eagles could be a good wild card team, so don't hate me for that. And we're going to move to the NFC South, where you have the Saints, Falcons, Bucks, and Panthers. And I am going to go with the Saints. I know Tom Brady went to the Bucks. I know Gronkowski's with the Bucks. I know they got Leonard Fournette signing with the Bucks. I just, at this time, the Saints are established. Tampa Bay has some questions. We don't know how well Tom Brady's going to play. They passed for a lot of yards last year, even though Jameis Winston got like 30 picks. And we don't know how Gronk's actually going to play in game settings. Got to go with the Saints. Moving over to the NFC West. 49ers won last year. Seahawks, they fought hard. I am going to go with the Seahawks winning the NFC West over the 49ers. And then the NFC North, I got to go with the Packers. I wanted to pick Vikings. I really did. But because in years past, they've always had a good defense. They've had a solid enough offense to make the playoffs. Nothing they did this offseason really convinced me that they're getting better or they're going to make any differences. So I'm going to go with the Packers in the NFC. And then my wild card teams, I'm going to say the Eagles and 49ers slip in. And the Bucks miss the playoffs.
Ooh, that's a bold prediction, Healy. I like that. I like those picks. So my pick out of the East, as you mentioned, Cowboys and Eagles are gonna battle it out. I personally think Dak Prescott has arsenal. He has arguably one of the best offenses to play with. He has the number one top 3 running back, we'll call it, in Zeke. He has CeeDee Lamb. He has Michael Gallup. He has Amari Cooper. They have a big 3. Teams historically with a big 3 receiving core dominate. Rodgers used to have a big 3. Peyton Manning has had a big 3. These teams that have a big 3 do special things. In Dallas's defense, they're beatable. but they're not bad. So I can see the Cowboys winning the division. I can see them winning 11 to 12 games. Eagles, they're going to be close. It all depends, as you mentioned. Carson Wentz, right? Can they stay healthy? Alshon Jeffrey's out for a few weeks. He's on the trading block. They don't. They have a Rigor who's supposed to be a good receiver who's going to miss a few weeks. I believe he tore a labrum or something of that nature in his shoulder. So we'll see what happens with that. But Cowboys for sure out of the NFC East. The NFC South. This one is the most difficult prediction to make. The predictions I've been hearing are Bucks will take the division. They'll win 11 and they'll go 11-5. Saints will go 10-6. I think it's going to be opposite. I believe the Saints will take the division. Saints will go 11-5. Bucks will go 10-6. It is going to come down to those two games when they play though. Saints and Bucks are going to be a shootout. It will be a shootout. In the NFC West, I don't know because the 49ers, they were exposed in that Super Bowl game. That first half, their defense, they showed out. You couldn't do anything. The Chiefs couldn't really move the ball. The 49ers, I thought, played a better overall game. But that second half that the Chiefs brought out, that Mahomes, his performance, it just really exposed a lot of holes in the 49ers defense. And with that, other teams will study and learn from that. Do I still think that they're going to have a Super Bowl hangover? A little bit, but I still think that the 49ers will take the division. They will have one more win than the Seahawks. I can see 49ers going 11-5, Seahawks going 10-6.
Okay.
For the NFC North, Green Bay. Green Bay to me, they didn't get weapons for Aaron Rodgers, and I think that is one of the biggest mistakes they could have made. But what they did, they went out on the defensive side. They grabbed Kirksey from Cleveland, who was hurt last year, but a couple years ago was a top tackler in the league. Reads the field extremely well. So they did add to their defense, even though they lost Blake Martinez, who to me, Blake Martinez is one of my favorite players that they've had in a while in the defense. Stepped in, obviously got a contract with the Giants. The Vikings are very good. The Vikings are very, very good. They're very tough. If the Packers can beat the Vikings in their matchups in the two games that they're going to play them, which week 1 they have Minnesota, I think they'll be fine and they'll take the division. It'll be close though. For my wild card teams, this is going to be tough. I do believe that the Buccaneers will be a wild card team. I believe Tom Brady is going to lead them to the wild card. The other team that's going to take the wild card, in my opinion, is going to be, because we have two, is going to be the Seahawks. I like the Seahawks.
Mm-hmm.
So Seahawks are still making the playoffs. I
Did they
think
add a
that
third playoff team this year? Didn't they?
they
Because
did.
there's only one bye.
They
One bye
did.
now.
There is another wild card team. I forgot all about that. So if
Oh.
if you had a third wild card team, to me, it ends up being either the Eagles or the Vikings. I don't know. That's gonna be tough. The Falcons could be good.
Oh, so I said the Bucks are gonna miss the playoffs. I think they sneak in now.
So that's your third wild card
Yeah.
pick.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow, this just got fun. More fun. Okay, I'm gonna throw the Vikings in that mix. You know what?
I was close to
Yeah,
tossing the Bears, but I'm like, they don't convince me enough. That's just a complete toss up to toss them in.
the Bears are always a contender though. It all
Mm-hmm.
comes down to their running game has been horrible. If they can establish a little bit better of a running game, and like
Yeah.
I said, their defense is good, but if Mitch Trubisky can start hitting some of those passes where receivers are wide open, and with Jimmy Graham there, maybe it opens the game up a little bit more. Maybe he shows out knowing that Nick Foles is there. I mean, it's a different dimension. You know, you have a guy who's making way more money than you ready to take your position.
Yeah.
So we'll see. You never know. You never
Mm-hmm.
know. But that third wild card spot, I'm glad you brought that up because from what I was seeing in the predictions, it didn't make sense. But now that you mentioned it, they did add a third wild card spot. And I think the Seahawks will definitely be one of them, Vikings and the Buccaneers. So
Okay.
with that being said, we have the
Wait,
AFC.
so with the NFC South, you had Saints or Bucks winning that?
The NFC South, I have the Saints going
Okay.
11-5, Bucks
Gotcha,
going
gotcha,
10 and
gotcha.
6. Yeah.
All right. AFC.
So AFC, this one is going to be uh, this one's going to be tough. So for me with the AFC West, I'm just going to start there. Chiefs. Chiefs hands down. And it's not even going to be a close second. AFC South. This is going to be the toss up because you look at teams like the Titans who were so close to making it last year. Texans who have Deshaun Watson who also balled out. He had an incredible year. The whole team did. They did get rid of DeAndre Hopkins. They add Brandon Cooks. If Will Fuller stays healthy, they have a receiving core. DeAndre Hopkins they're fine
Mm-hmm.
without him. It all depends on the health because Brandon Cooks is another one who can get hurt. The Colts. The Colts add Phillip Rivers. Phillip Rivers is not an Andrew Luck, but Phillip Rivers is a guy who can manage a game, and he's been there. For that division, it's the toughest for me to pick. I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to say the Indianapolis Colts take the division, only because they have a great defense, too. And it's going to be a close between them and the Titans. The AFC North. I'm still going Baltimore. AFC North is loaded. Loaded. Steelers, Ravens, Browns, Bengals. Bengals have Joe Burrow, everybody's speaking highly of him. They're saying he's going to have a hell of a year. I'm still going with the Ravens. I'm going with Lamar Jackson. He's going to lead the offense. He's still going to run the ball. I don't think teams are really going to know how to stop him quite yet. And the Steelers, they can end up having the same record for all we know. But I'm going to go Ravens and then Steelers in second. AFC East, this one's tough. Cam Newton is playing with a vengeance. He's on the field, he's off the field before everybody and after everybody. He's out there, he's a Super Bowl quarterback. I want to say he's won a Super Bowl. He hasn't. But under Belichick, I think they can win a lot of games. With that being said, I'm going with the Buffalo Bills to take that division.
Okay.
With the wild card, my wild card teams are still, since there's 3, I'm going to go with the Tennessee Titans. I almost said the Oilers. Pittsburgh Steelers are going to be tough. Third wild card team, we will see Bill Belichick and the Patriots in the playoffs.
Okay. So I think we're gonna have similar division winners in the AFC. A little unfortunate. I was hoping the one pick you wouldn't make was. I'll start it off. So we'll start off AFC West. Obviously, Kansas City Chiefs.
Yep.
Toss up there. The South, I was going with the Colts all the way. I feel like they had a solid team. They had a solid base. They have T.Y. Hilton, Paris Campbell, who could have a good year. They have Marlon Mack and Jonathan Taylor with Hines in the backfield as well. They have 3 running backs. Jonathan Taylor, Wisconsin rep. He's a beast. Paris Campbell, speedster. They signed Trey Burton as a tight end. Their defense, they have Justin Houston, Darius Leonard. They have Rhodes. They signed Xavier Rhodes. They have Kenny Moore and then Yasin as cornerbacks. And they have DeForest Buckner. They have a good O-line. They went negative 12 point differential last year. They finished 7-9 without a quarterback. Phillip Rivers is going to facilitate that offense. and it's going to look great. And
Yeah,
especially
I
with
agree.
Hopkins leaving the AFC South, the Titans, we'll have to see if they replicate exactly what they do. But I feel good on the Colts, especially maybe a little biased. I've been using them in Madden the past couple of years, running their franchise, and they have a good, solid base. So I like what I see there. AFC North, I think the Ravens, I don't think they're going to have a regression year. I think Lamar is still going to ball out. I think their
Mhm,
offense is still good. I don't think
mhm.
this is a one-year wonder offense, especially with all the statistics guys that they signed to tell them when to go on fourth down, what plays to run. They're running with the numbers. They're at the top of the analytics game. Then the AFC East, I do think the Bills are going to take it. I think it's finally their time to take the East. They have that established team. The Patriots, they have a lot of guys sitting out this year.
Yep.
So that's a key factor as well. Bill Belichick always has good systems, so you can't necessarily rule them out. It's kind of like the Spurs, where you could put together a bunch of stuff and make it work. Bill Belichick knows how to do that, but we're going with the Bills. And then the wild card teams. We are going to go with the Houston Texans, the Tennessee Titans, and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Patriots are going to miss the playoffs. I feel like they'll be around
Okay.
like a 500 team maybe, and they might miss because of that.
Okay. So we basically have the same teams minus the Texans and the Patriots are swapped.
Yeah.
Okay. I like that. I like that. That's bold predictions.
And we didn't talk
Um
about this beforehand. We both came up with our own predictions, and we just happen to have the same division winners.
okay. Give me your Super Bowl matchup.
So, AFC, I'm going to go with the Chiefs. Normally, Super Bowl hangover. They lose a lot of guys due to contracts, like a lot of their starters. But this year, the Chiefs signed a lot of their guys for extensions. They spent a lot of money. They didn't really get rid of anyone, and they only added onto their offense. Pat Mahomes, unbelievable passer. I think the Chiefs from the AFC and from the NFC, I'm going to have Russell Wilson and the Seattle Seahawks making the Super Bowl.
Okay. I like that. I like Seattle this year. Seattle, if I'm not mistaken, Seattle did lose Jadeveon Clowney,
Yeah,
but Seattle didn't they sign? I could have sworn they signed somebody this offseason.
a safety. They got Jamal Adams.
They got Jamal Adams. Yes, yes, Jamal Adams. They got Jamal Adams. They added Greg Olsen at tight end, who we don't know what he's gonna do. And Bruce Irving at defensive end. So those are like some big time players right there. But Jamal Adams for me just adds to the defense. A safety is huge, huge. Now we still don't know what kind of player we're gonna get out of Jamal Adams. He's underperformed, but he's young and he has a lot of potential. A lot of potential.
Mm-hmm.
And that Seattle offense is good. Carson at running back. They have DK Metcalf, who's going to be in his second year, who actually was stellar last year. Tyler Lockett, who's really good on the deep ball. Um, they have a guy named Russell Wilson. I don't know if anybody's heard of him. He's pretty good. So I do like Seattle. Those are not going to be my predictions though. So you have the Chiefs in Seattle, correct?
Yes.
So I'm going to stick with the Chiefs. I could never bet against Pat Mahomes. Even after he gets this contract, the dude loves to have fun and ball out.
Mm-hmm.
My NFC prediction, it's close because the team that's notorious for beating my team in the playoffs and in conference games is Seattle, or it's been the 49ers last year. Um, I'm gonna go with Green Bay. I'm saying that as a fan, yes, but also the fact that the 49ers were the only team that Green Bay had no chance against last year. Green Bay can match up with any team, offensively and defensively. Defense has improved. Our defensive backs have improved. They got exposed against the 49ers. There was nothing they could do against that 49ers team. And off-season, Aaron Rodgers can only get better. I don't see him regressing. I see him progressing.
Mm-hmm.
He's worked with that core. Devontae Adams is always good. Aaron Jones. They have Lazard, who is their number 2, and everybody's speaking highly of him. Rodgers, analysts, and Matt LaFleur. This is only his second year. So Rodgers last year for the Packers, that was like a trial run, and they did pretty damn well with what they had. They have players, they have a core. Now Matt LaFleur is going to build off of the rapport he built with his team, the chemistry he built with his team, and by signing Kirksey and letting Blake Martinez go, but they signed Kirksey, who's very athletic. They have Zadarius Smith, Preston Smith on the defense, guys who get in and hit the quarterback a lot. I think if somehow they learned anything from the ass whooping they took in the NFC conference game last year, if all the tears that I shed soaked into the carpet and somehow they felt that emotion and they bottled it up for me, then they should be able to come away. The Saints are beatable. The Seahawks are beatable. Seahawks are great. I feel like the Seahawks are the only ones who are really going to truly contend. Seahawks, 49ers, and Packers. That's what it's going to come down to in the NFC. AFC, Chiefs are going to run away with it. I don't know who I'm going to pick for the winner yet. That's to be determined.
Okay. So, Super Bowl predictions. We both have the Chiefs. Like I said, they just looked so good. So
there's no stopping that Chiefs team. Defensively, they look pretty damn well. They re-signed everybody. I don't know what type of money they got into, what bag of money they stumbled across to pay everybody, but they're doing it. And let's not forget the rookie running back that they have. Was it Clyde Hare Edwards or whatever his name is? So,
yeah, they just signed or they drafted someone. All right. So that's going to be our predictions for the NFL. We aren't really going to do MVPs and all of that. We don't really have any knowledge, especially no preseason games, nothing to go in. NFL could always be a toss-up. Easiest bets, probably either Lamar or Pat Mahomes.
We can give a prediction after the first games. I'd be okay with that.
Okay, just to see how everyone. This is still so weird. It does not feel like football's tomorrow. It doesn't even feel like it's football season.
Nope. But fun fact: teams, not all teams, select teams, are allowed to have fans.
Mm-hmm.
And I was kind of, I was watching the NFL Network, and they were like, "Yeah, the Chiefs are allowed to have around 16,000 fans." So I looked at the list, and obviously it's based on the state. So Miami Dolphins are going to allow 13,000 fans. The Colts, 2,500 fans. Ticket prices are going to be crazy. Jaguars, 16,700 fans. Chiefs, obviously. The Falcons are allowing between 10 and 20,000. They didn't really say. And the Cowboys, they didn't say exactly, but it's going to be fewer than 50% capacity, which in that stadium, they can fit 100,000 fans almost. So if they get even 40%, that's a lot of people. Every other team, they're waiting at least the first 2 games, if not more. So there is going to be a home field advantage for this season for some teams. Obviously the dome teams, the cold weather teams like Green Bay, and then the teams that have a stadium designed for fans that will get loud. I mean, 16,000 fans, sure, it might not be the same as 60,000, but it makes a difference.
Yeah. And we'll see if teams are allowed to pump in crowd noise or not, but
yep.
NFL starts tomorrow. FanDuel. Are you going to do that again this year with your weekly lineup?
I will have a weekly lineup set for the main lineup. I will not include the Thursday games. It'll be Sunday main, I believe, through Monday, whatever the main lineups are for FanDuel. So be on the lookout for that. I'll
So
post that on
follow
Twitter.
our social media, SR Only
Yes.
Pod, on Instagram and Twitter. It'll be posted there for the FanDuel lineup.
Yeah, I'll post it. I'll try to get it in probably the night before with football. It's not the same as basketball because there's sometimes late game subs, but you'll see. You'll get a final lineup at least a couple hours prior to the noon games for us, which is in Chicago. So definitely go ahead and add us on social media so you can get some tips on who to play, win some money. So, but that's going to do it for the NFL. Let's go ahead and transition over to the NBA. The Celtics lost tonight. They lost a tough game. So instead of going into the next round to play Miami, they are now going to play a game 7 come Friday against Toronto. Not a team you want to play in a game 7 with or without Kawhi. Kyle Lowry went off today. I personally think the Celtics should have won the game. There was a no call at the end of the game for Kemba. Of course, a lot of bad calls in this bubble, as we've seen. But with basketball news, we have a game 7 Friday. Miami is resting. Miami beat the Milwaukee Bucks. They didn't beat them.
In 5 games.
5 games. I know the 5th game, Giannis wasn't there. Giannis got hurt, unfortunately.
And in the game that they did win, he was like hurt for.
He was hurt, yeah. He was hurt. He had a hurt ankle. He was game time decision, I believe, for game 4. Rolled it it was just an accident, and he was screaming in pain. As a franchise, I don't blame them for not allowing him to play in the next game. You can't do that because he's so young and he's going to dominate for the next 10 to 12 years. No reason to play him. So they lost. Miami is the biggest surprise for me. And you know what? God damn, Jimmy Butler. He
continues to go against the odds.
He does. The Bulls gave up on him.
Timberwolves.
Timberwolves. Oh yeah, Timberwolves gave up on him. Philadelphia gave up on. I don't understand what Philadelphia was thinking. I think teams don't like his personality. The dude talks his shit and backs it up. And he loves his team. He loves his guys. And you know what? I love his personality with Miami. Him and Dragic and Tyler Hero. Like, I don't know if you follow them on social media, but I do. And they have a good brotherhood over there. And the fact that they won, it's that chemistry is at an all-time high. Eric Spoelstra looks like a genius.
Yeah.
He won with LeBron and Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh with that trio. And I never thought I'd ever see him go this far in a playoff again. And you know what? For him to do it with this team, it says a lot. It says a lot about him as a coach. And I like this Miami team. I think Miami could end up being the team in the finals and actually competing with a team in the West.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. Bama Adebayo stepped up this year. He could have won Most Improved, but if you told me the Heat were going to be in the Eastern Conference Finals this year, I would have said, "What are you talking about?" If you said they're going to make the playoffs, I would have been like, "Okay, yeah, they're going to make it." Are they going to be competitive? Probably not, especially against the Bucks. Like I was all about the Bucks. I thought they were going to dominate. I thought this was their year. They showed out last year. They lost to the Raptors last year. I thought, okay, they'll bounce back. They'll play well, and they'll make the finals. It'll be Bucks against maybe the Clippers, maybe the Lakers, and we'll see. No, not the case. The Heat knock them out. Giannis, a lot of talk about what his next move is.
He'll stay.
And he has 1 year left. He's said that he wants to stay in Milwaukee. Milwaukee has already said we are not trading him we're not going to trade him while he's under contract. So he's going to be there until at least the end of next year.
Giannis said he wants to stay with Milwaukee. That puts a lot of pressure on Milwaukee. his supporting cast minus Chris Middleton to me is trash. It's trash. You have the Lopez brothers, Brooks, Robin Lopez, gone. Let them go. Brooke Lopez hasn't been good in probably 2 or 3 years, and he's slow. You gotta change. You gotta change it up. Marvin Williams is retiring. That's some money off the on the books. Um, get Giannis one more stud. Doesn't even have to be a superstar. Get him somebody who competes night in, night out. That is an all-star. Has to be an all-star.
Hmm.
Because as of right now, Giannis, as great as he is, as much of a freak athlete that he is, it takes more than one. Even if he was healthy, I don't think they would have beaten Miami at all. I think Miami ends up taking the series at least in 6 games. So Giannis is smart. Giannis is saying, I'm going to stay without physically telling them, do better.
Hmm.
He's telling them right now. They may not know it. He may not say it, but they have got to start making moves, and
Yeah.
it has to start now.
Yeah.
It has to.
Yeah. Like you said, he's saying, I'm staying until this is up. You guys have 1 year to change my mind or to like
Yeah.
keep my mind the same.
And as you said before, Healy, basketball is the NBA is the one sport where you can change a whole franchise around in one off season.
Yep.
They can do it. They can do it with this team. They can. In the East, especially. Because guess what? Kevin Durant and Kyrie, Karis LeVert, Spencer Dinwiddie, that team in Brooklyn is hungry. That team is good. They need Milwaukee has to get one more stud out there.
Hmm. It's gonna be tough though. It's Milwaukee. You're gonna need veteran guys, maybe towards the end of their career, or guys who have a chip on their shoulder. Milwaukee's a very tough city to sign people to.
It's a weird market to play in. It definitely is. I mean, I've driven through Milwaukee millions of times, and I'm like, it's nothing to it, right? It's tough. It's tough, but a chance to play with Giannis, even if you get somebody on a 2-year deal, you don't need much. Let them.
No.
You gotta sell a championship to somebody at this point.
Hmm.
You gotta show them the money, sell them on the championship. Let some of those guys go. They gotta pack up and go.
Yeah. Or they're gonna lose him, and he's gonna go to a very good team, and we're gonna see the reign of Giannis. He's only
Chicago.
24 years old. Yeah, maybe
He's
Chicago.
yeah.
Only 24 years old. It's kind of like Lamar, where I don't know why Lamar got flack for not winning a Super Bowl last year and winning an MVP when he was like 22 years old or whatever. But
Yeah.
Giannis is 24 years of age. He has so many more years in the NBA, and he has so many years left of his prime. He's
So
just entering his prime, and he put up the most efficient season in NBA history. His player efficiency rating was the best ever. NBA history.
So he finished with it. Yeah. So he ended up pulling it off. So he has the highest. Who was second? Wilt Chamberlain?
Will Chamberlain was second and third, and he averaged 50 and 46 points, and he had like 26 and 24 rebounds in those years.
Yeah. Giannis is, as I said, a freak athlete. He's excellent. He can't, it's 1 versus 5. And you have guys around him who aren't bad. Like George Hill isn't bad. He had a great 3-point shooting season. Kyle Korver's 40 off the bench. DiVincenzo's good. They should keep him. The rest of the team just go. Guess maybe keep Bledsoe and Middleton, but you got to get one. They need a center. To me, if they can get a center who is on up to parallel or up to par with like an Anthony Davis or somebody who can still move and shoot the ball that isn't slow like Brooke Lopez, who can grab boards and maybe be a defensive presence, that would be a scary team. Anthony Davis very well could go to Milwaukee.
Joel Embiid.
Joel Embiid. That would be wow. Joel Embiid and Giannis would be nuts. I would buy a Milwaukee Bucks jersey. I would drive up. I would drive to your house, tell you to hop in the car because I bought us Bucks tickets.
I've been thinking the past couple of years. It's only a short drive.
It
only
is
an hour
for us.
or so.
It's an hour, yeah. I've been to the Brewer Stadium, which is awesome. Drive was easy. So for everybody listening, if you don't already know, we're from Chicago. Chicago is very close to Milwaukee, right up past the border. Um, Milwaukee, I would love to go to a Bucks game because the tickets are probably still cheap. I mean, it's
Hmm.
in a market where I mean, you probably get a beer and a hot dog deal. But
Yeah.
anyways, that would be interesting to see. Other news with the NBA. So the Clippers are, I believe, beating the Nuggets tonight. They will go up 3-1 in that series.
Yeah.
Lakers won their game yesterday. They're up 2-1. I wouldn't be surprised if they end up sweeping the rest of the way. They have Harden is scoring. Westbrook's kind of doing okay, but he's getting everything's a block on LeBron's blocking everything, literally everything, and it's fun to watch. But with Harden doing well and they're still losing, that's enough for me right there. That I mean, it's going to require all five guys on the court to extremely ball out for Houston.
I was extremely surprised the Lakers lost that game one. Extremely, especially with the height differential and like how Houston plays, how bad they looked in game 7 of
You know,
the first
I
round.
I don't understand how and I know he's old, but Tyson Chandler to me is a 7-foot center. And you look at guys like JaVale McGee, you look at guys like Dwight Howard. Dwight Howard's a little bit different. He's built different. He's super athletic. But a lot of these centers are older 7-footers because they're playing because of their size. And you're not going to run Tyson Chandler in the paint, who's a body. I mean, granted, he might fall out. He's a little bit slower. PJ Tucker's slow. He's good offensively if he's wide open in the corner. He's not one to grab boards. He does. He's gritty. He can play in the paint. He's earned his center badge. But that height difference, I was surprised too to see the Lakers lose. I was very surprised. Like I thought for sure. You know what? I did have the Rockets taking a game in the series. I just didn't think it would be game 1.
Yeah.
But that was the game for the Lakers to say, "Wait, we lost to this team. They beat us this way. We can let James Harden scores 35 to 40 points. If Westbrook is shooting 5 of 19, 5 of 20, turning the ball over 4 or 5 times, maybe he gets to the line. Maybe Westbrook scores 20 points. Who else is going to score? Playoff Rondo is back. Rondo's back. You know what? This Lakers team, they're going to sweep the rest of the series and it's going to be a battle for LA. Clippers and Lakers. I'm watching every game. I'm watching every single game. And my money's still on the Lakers to take that series.
That's why I really liked when the Bulls signed Rajon Rondo a couple years ago. Playoff
They had a
time, he's
chance.
just a different player.
They had a chance in the East. They had a chance. It was just LeBron and with the Cavs. There was just no beating that. I mean, that team was just unstoppable.
Well,
Uh,
they went up against the Celtics, I thought, and they lost.
they did lose to the
Rondo
Celtics that
got
year.
hurt like after game 2.
Rondo has been notoriously getting hurt in playoffs because
Yeah.
even this year, yeah, but even then, I still don't think that Bulls team would have beaten Cleveland
Okay. Okay.
when it comes down to it. But other news for the Bulls, we got more.
Well,
Billy
I
Donovan.
was gonna say, do you want to start off with Steve Nash first before we get into coaches?
We can do that. So Steve Nash signs as the Brooklyn Nets head coach.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of those buy or sell. And in my opinion, I think it's a buy and it's a huge buy for the simple reason that his basketball IQ is through the roof. You're not talking about a guy who is top 10 basketball player of all time. He's not. But he was a part of a franchise that won a lot of games. May not have won a
Mm-hmm.
championship, but he knew how to facilitate the ball as a player. He knew how to get the team going. He's been looked at by the league, by Kevin Durant and Kyrie as someone that they can rely on as a mentor.
Mm-hmm.
He's watched them play in the past. Steve Nash has gone to Golden State games to watch Durant play.
Well, yeah, he was a part of Golden State. He wasn't a coach or anything, but he was with the organization
Yeah, he was
during
affiliated.
this span that they were really good and probably observing how to do things.
And a lot of people were upset. How did Mark Jackson not get a job? I do agree. Mark Jackson should have a job somewhere. But they were like, Steve Nash has no coaching experience. Well, you're looking at a Hall of Fame player who was affiliated with the Golden State Warriors. Sure, he's not a coach. Everybody starts somewhere. And I think you start same thing with Tyronn Lue, who was with the Cavs. He didn't have to do much. You learn by experience
Hmm.
a lot of times, right? So if you have guys who are going to lead, guys who know how to play, who know how to win, and you're there as a coach, you might have some hiccups. I expect them to lose some games because of Steve Nash. I wouldn't doubt it. But he's going to learn through these guys on how to be an effective coach, just the same way he was as an effective point guard in the league. So I think it was a great signing. It's a buy for me.
Yeah, I'd have to say the same. 2 MVPs. He's
Yeah.
like he played point guard, which is like catcher in baseball. You see
Yeah.
a lot of catchers. David Ross, first year manager with the Cubs, got put in a great situation. Steve Nash just has to manage minutes and make sure guys he doesn't get too friendly and make sure he's like the coach and like are on his guys.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
has a great team he could work around with. They're gonna look good next season, and he'll get the experience then. I don't think he necessarily needed the experience that some of these other guys needed beforehand.
I agree. Completely agree. A lot of other good coaching candidates, but I think Steve Nash should be a good fit over there. He might only, I mean, like Jason Kidd was a coach for a couple of
Derek
years.
Fisher,
Derek Fisher obviously didn't do too well.
Magic
So
Johnson used to be a coach.
yeah, everybody starts somewhere. It's just a matter of where you start. So I think he'll be good though. I like Steve Nash. I've always liked Steve Nash as a player. So
The Bulls, though,
Chicago
you want to get
Bulls.
into that?
Oh yeah, I've been waiting for a while.
We were texting about that.
So Billy Donovan, he is not returning as the OKC Thunder's head coach. The same OKC Thunder that just took Houston Rockets to 7 games. The same Thunder team that had a below 1% chance of making the playoffs out of the West. Or maybe like a 1.5% chance. Something where they shouldn't have made it. They did. He took a team that had Chris Paul, Steven Adams, and a bunch of no-namers. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander was a no-namer until last year. Granted, I think it might have been his rookie year.
mhm.
But still, I didn't know who he was entering the league. Even then, going into this season, what could he really do? What can they do? Maybe win 20, 25 games. No. They go to the playoffs. Billy Donovan leads this team to the playoffs. The same Billy Donovan, who is very, very successful as a college coach with Florida. Speaking of Florida, the Gators, which produce some of the best NBA players, one including Bradley Beal. Bradley Beal, as you pointed out to me, tweeted that, because the Bulls were, emerging as a top candidate, or Billy Donovan's emerging as a top candidate for the Bulls. They're eyeballing him, right? Bradley Beal tweets, as they should. Bradley Beal is part of a franchise that failed. They had two of the best guards, possibly of our time. Bradley Beal, John Wall. They've had the pieces to fill in. Bradley Beal and John Wall, as far as I'm concerned, if I'm them, there's not a future in Washington. Right now, they're going to have to go through a rebuild, whether if it's now or in the next 3 years, 4 years.
Mhm.
I don't know what it means for Beal to tweet that. I don't know. So let's speculate.
Yeah.
I believe he played. Did he play under Billy
Yeah,
Donovan?
he did.
He played under Billy Donovan. His contract, he just signed an extension, I think, a couple years back or last year. He's making like 26, 27 mil a year. Otto Porter for the Bulls, who was a teammate of Bradley Beal, is on his last year of his deal. If he decides to opt in, we'll be making pretty much the same amount of money. Overpaid? Yes. The Bulls have the 4th pick in the NBA draft. 4th pick is nice. 4th pick
In a
is
draft
something
like
you
this.
bundle. Yeah, in a draft like this is something you bundle and trade away for a player like that. You trade away your contract with Otto Porter. You trade him away. Because guess what? He's a free agent after this year. Who are the Bulls really going to get? I'll take Bradley Beal. We'll pair him up with Zach LaVine. Zach LaVine's what, 6'5", 6'6". So we'll play small in the backcourt. We'll play small in the backcourt. We'll play big in the front court. We'll have a big power forward in Markkanen. We don't know what we're gonna have at center yet. I personally think Wendell Carter might get traded. Bundle Wendell Carter. He's a great center. Small for his size, but he makes up for it. He gets a lot of blocks. He can play the paint. Whatever it may be, I would be okay as a fan to trade away a plethora of picks and players, as long as it's not Kobe White, as long as it's not Markkanen. Markkanen can still develop. If they trade away Markkanen, at least keep Wendell. I don't know. I'm sold on Daniel Gafford. He's my future center for the Bulls. I'm sure you can agree.
Yeah.
And Zach LaVine, Kobe White, Zach LaVine, Markkanen, Daniel Gafford. That's your four. Beal comes in. He's our fifth. We can run small, which Kobe White is like a 6'3" point guard. That's not the smallest. I know that the league's going towards big point guards. Toronto plays small. I think Kyle Lowry is like 6'1". John Wall's 6 foot. Guys can. Kobe
We're
White
seeing
will
the
be
Rockets.
good. The Rockets are just small.
The Warriors.
The Warriors play small. The Warriors play small. So I would be okay to have. Now it'd be tough because Zach LaVine has to understand one thing. You were a star on a team of trash. He'll be a star still, but his personality, I know, is I'm gonna touch the ball 50% of the game. Whether if I'm passing it or I'm shooting, he's gonna touch the ball a lot. He's got to take the back seat a little bit. And he has to be okay. You got to play the hot hand. And Billy Donovan will be the answer for that. He will get these guys to listen to him. These are guys who looked up to him, whether if it's Zach LaVine in college, any of these guys in college, while Billy Donovan was a college coach, I'm sure they all looked up to him, even though he wasn't their coach.
Mm-hmm.
He'll have that same effect as he did with OKC.
I feel like Bradley Beal could be cool. I just feel like with this draft and the number 4 pick, and also where the Bulls, like, they could sign someone in the offseason.
Mm-hmm.
They could definitely make the moves for other people, maybe with lesser money and stuff. Bradley Beal does seem cool. I would not be mad with them trading for Beal, like giving up the 4th pick and Otto Porter and maybe a different player. But right now, I kind of want to see what they can do with the 4th pick. Even though the Bulls in previous years, they haven't been the best at drafting kind of the middle of the lottery.
Mm-hmm.
They got Denzel Valentine. They traded for Doug McDermott when they gave up Jamal or Gary Harris, and I don't know if it was Jamal Murray. Could be wrong on that one. They gave up Gary Harris and someone else to the Nuggets, and they just haven't been the best there. And it's always a risk, especially in a draft like this, where there's a high ceiling. Like, you could get a very good player for a very long time, but is the risk good enough to get a player who could be potentially just a huge bust compared to a guaranteed number player?
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like the Bulls, though, with how their organization looks, though, I feel like they should go, and they have a new front office, so their drafting won't be the same as it was in the past. I think they go with the 4th pick. I really want them to get that European guy. The forward, he'd fit in nicely. We won't have LaVine at the 3 anymore. I don't think LaVine is a 3. He'd fit better more as a 2. So I think they go with him.
I agree completely. I don't know as far as who they go with in the draft, but they should keep the pick. I was thinking hypothetically, if they want to package and get Bradley Beal, I'd be okay with it, considering he dropped, I don't know how many 50-point games this past season. As a Bulls fan, for the future of the team, you got to draft. Definitely draft. Or at least if you're going to trade, don't trade the 4th pick.
Maybe they trade Markkanen They trade Wendell Carter. They
Yeah,
give up.
yeah.
They give up Otto Porter, and then they throw in like a second round and like a first round from like 2 years from now. Sure, go with that, because I think in a first round in a couple years, the Bulls would have not a good pick. I feel like they would be in like the 15s, 15 to 20ish range, maybe even 20
Mhm.
to 30. So that'd be decent. I'm not super high on Markkinen anymore. I feel like he's average. So if they could get rid of that and still hold on to the 4th pick, awesome. What
Yeah.
pick does the Wizards have?
I don't even know where the Wizards are sitting right now. The Wizards are, I think they're a top 10 pick. They have to be.
NBA draft 2020. So the draft order right now, Washington is 9. Like,
Yep.
I think 9's too low. I think if they had the
Mhm.
7th pick, maybe they could pick Beal with the pick swap. But I think 9's too low for how top heavy this draft is.
Yeah, I agree. I do agree. Outside of top 5, 6, I think it starts to kind of dumb down.
hmm I don't know why in this NBA draft, this mock draft, they have Kenyon Hayes as the pick, 6'5" point guard. I don't want a point guard.
We don't need a point guard.
I don't understand it. And they have Denny going 5th to Cleveland. I do not want him to fall to Cleveland. Please
No.
don't.
No, the Bulls, I feel like that has to be their route. They're good at guards. Like you said, Levine's got to play the 2. Kobe White's going to be the starting point guard. We still have Satoransky, who should go soon, who's not bad by all means, but he's got to go. And Chris Dunn is our off the bench defensive machine. So he's somebody who causes a lot of turnovers. I don't think we need another point guard.
hmm Bulls, though. I do hope they get Billy Donovan. Huge on him. I feel like he'd be good with the young talent. Especially, I haven't really heard any other coaches in the mix. Maybe we see some firings after the season's over with some of these playoff teams. But I don't know if you heard the draft is going to get moved back a little bit. Finalizing that today. The
Oh, they
season's
are.
the season's going to get pushed back a little bit as well. I think that the teams are coming into an agreement where there's not enough time between the finals and prep for next season.
Okay, so it'd probably be what, middle of November, I think they were saying.
Yeah, that or
Okay.
beginning, I don't know, but it was originally scheduled for like October 16th or something similar.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. I'm excited for the draft. I'm excited for this season to be over. It's fun. I don't want to say make it sound like it's bad. I'm more excited for the finals now. Um Besides that Miami series, Miami and Celtics or Toronto, I'd rather see the Celtics, but I'm more so ready for the who the Bulls are going to sign and for that draft as a Chicago fan. So that is going to wrap up the episode, everybody. Thank you for tuning in again. Go ahead and add us our social media accounts, SR Only Pod. We are on Twitter, Instagram. Stay interactive. Our personal accounts, we have at is it Healy6?
The Healy 6.
The Healy6. I'm iGoose. That's with 4 O's. As always, don't ask why. We're on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Most importantly, with that, hit download. That is how we see our view count. We have no way of seeing who watches what, how many listens there are. It's strictly on download. So if you guys did listen this far, we appreciate you. And as always, we'll see you guys next week.
Peace.
See ya.